It is officially the offseason for the Philadelphia Eagles, and coming up on today's Eagles Now, the top 10 NFL free agents the Eagles should target going into the free agency period. And all these players fill a position of need, importance, and I think make this team a lot better here in 2024. Number one, and we're not going to go in any particular order, just 10 players in general to lay the foundation for everybody. Antoine Winfield Jr., who we got to look at during the wild card round against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He was arguably the best safety in the game. And why I like him, you need another safety in here. And number two, he's still only 25 years old. Might demand a lot of money, but it's time for Howie Rosemna to invest more money into linebacker as well as safety. And look at these Pro Football Focus grades for Antoine Winfield during the 2023 season. Overall grade of 91.2. Run defense grade of 92.5, pass rush grade of 92.7, a coverage grade of 86.3, and he had 3 interceptions. What do these numbers tell you here? First of all, I love how Todd Bowles utilized him in that defense. He could play in the box. He can cover tight ends and slot receivers. You can also send him home when you send the house with these blitz packages. But has the ball skills to play deep safety as well, and the age is what's key, only 25 years old. Very rarely can you get a player at his peak who's still young in free agency, who's not toward the tail end of his career oftentimes. At number 2, I'm doing it. And I've been advocating for Gardner Johnson's return to Philadelphia on X. I talked about it during the Buccaneers watch party, and we're bringing him up once again. I know the ending was a little bit tense between Gardner Johnson and the Eagles front office. The Eagles actually offered him a long-term contract, more years, more money than the Detroit Lions. But Gardner Johnson wanted a little bit more, and the Eagles said, we need an answer. Gardner Johnson didn't give them an answer. So what did they do? Unfortunately, they paid James Bradberry, and they brought back Darius Slay. But the Eagles miss a player like this who's a straight-up dog, and they need that swagger back on this defense. And if there's one thing that Gardner Johnson has, it's swagger, it's confidence, and it's no fear. I love how he plays the game of football at a high rate of speed while playing physical, has good ball skills, only played 3 games this year. But Gardner Johnson coming back, I'm all in. At cornerback, Philadelphia Eagles might have to eat the salary of James Bradberry this year, and that's going to be a tough pill to swallow. But he became cooked overnight. You know who's not cooked? You know who's also young still? Jaylen Johnson, who has the argument that he may have been the best cornerback in football this year. Overall Pro Football Focus grade of 90.8, a coverage grade of 91. He can really thrive against top-tier, upper-echelon wide receivers. Also has excellent ball skills. He had 10 pass breakups, 4 interceptions, couple of pick sixes, I believe. I know at least 1. And the quarterback rating when targeted. This is a player who has a knack for making a play on the football. And he has a sense of when the ball is getting delivered. Reads the eyes of the wide receiver. He turns around and uses his length, uses his frame, uses his ball skills to have a lot of pass breakups. A quarterback rating, also due to sticky coverage, of 33.3. Sticking with the cornerback position, Levi Sneed also had a career year this year, playing for Steve Spagnuolo's defense with the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, his Pro Football Focus numbers not as good as Jaylen Johnson, but this is more of an eye test thing for me. The length, the strides, the speed, the physicality. We saw him straight up body Tyreek Hill at the line of scrimmage. Threw him to the ground when he was jamming him. And I love that type of physicality. That's what the Eagles need to get back to. This defense against the Buccaneers, this defense down the stretch against New York, against Arizona, they were soft. And that's not how this city wants to see their defense play. So for Sneed, overall Pro Football Focus grade of 71.1, coverage grade of 71.9. He had 2 picks. His passer rating when targeted, it's not Jaylen Johnson's level of 33, but 55 is damn good. But he also had a lot of pass breakups. 14 pass breakups this year for Levi Sneed. Howie Rosemna needs to address corner. He needs to address safety. He needs to address linebacker as well. And one of the best linebackers in the game is going to be available in Patrick Queen. He has never missed a game in his NFL career. And he might feel slighted by the Baltimore Ravens, who did not exercise his fifth-year option and instead gave a bag to Roquan Smith, who they traded for last year. Roquan Smith, Patrick Queen, maybe the best linebacking duo in the NFL outside of Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw. You can make the argument that one is better than the other. But this Ravens defense, number one in the NFL, and Patrick Queen is a big part of that. 3.5 sacks so he can get after the quarterback. He is a tremendous tackler, a very good linebacker in pass coverage, 9 tackles for loss, and 6 pass breakups. Look, Howie, it is just time to invest in linebacker because you saw what happens this year when you don't. Teams will continue to pick you apart. And if you want to stack yourself up against the San Francisco 49ers, great tight ends and crossing routes, you want to stack yourself up against Detroit, Dallas, the Green Bay Packers, who I think are going to be a problem for the foreseeable future. What do they all do? Los Angeles Rams as well. Run crossers, good tight end play, and if you don't have linebackers who can cover the middle area of the field, you're going to continue to get gashed. With that, we ask you this. Who is your dream Eagles free agent target this offseason? We have 5 more to get to. Is it a player who we've already talked about or somebody else? Drop me a name down below in the comment section. Today's Eagles Now is sponsored by Factor. Here in 2024, I feel great. The running streak approaching 300 days once again, and I've been able to eat clean, eat healthy with Factor meals. Stress less over meal times here in the new year. Factor's no prep, no mess meals, free up time otherwise spent shopping, cooking, cleaning up, or hosting shows here on Eagles Now. No more wasting time in the kitchen, especially for me. I'm trying to talk ball and get in my runs. Not only does Factor offer fast, simple solutions when I'm too busy to cook, they also help me stay on top of my goals. With offerings like Protein Plus and Keto, I can stay on track. This is definitely going to come in handy for all of my New Year goals. And if you want tasty meals as well, that's what Factor brings to the table. You pick your pre-made meals. They are prepped and cooked to perfection. Everything is delivered straight to your door. You heat them up. You enjoy them. It doesn't get better than that. FactorMeals.com/EaglesChat50. Sticking with the safety position here, Kyle Duggar is a player that Bill Belichick just loved throughout his tenure with the New England Patriots. And this is a player who has great versatility. Linebacker safety hybrid. So not only does he help you at safety, he helps you a little bit at linebacker. And with a lot of teams playing quarter defenses because offenses are trying to spread defenses out, Kyle Duggar is a great modern-day player. And if Bill Belichick really likes you, he can't scout offensive talent. He can certainly scout defensive talent. He fits the run game and fills the run game, but he's also not a liability in coverage. And what I like about Kyle Duggar, toughness and the ability to cover big slots as well as tight ends. And when you have that type of versatility, I'm a firm believer it helps out the other players on your defense, and you don't have to drop Hassan Reddick back in coverage. Matt Patricia, what the heck? Calvin Ridley is a player who has ties to Jalen Hurts. They played alongside one another at Alabama, and the Eagles were rumored to be interested in Calvin Ridley before he was suspended all of last year because of that betting ordeal. Played with the Jacksonville Jaguars this past year and was a pretty damn good player with Trevor Lawrence and Doug Peterson's offense. If he's your wide receiver 3, it's a pretty damn good trio with Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, and Calvin Ridley. Now, what's odd about him, hasn't been in the league all that long, yet he's in his late 20s already. 76 catches, more than 1,000 yards this year, 8 touchdowns, and a long of 59. It was good to see him back and thriving. Should the Eagles sign a running back? There are a lot of actually quality running backs on the free agency market, but do you worry about the wear and tear? Do you worry about the age, declining production, as well as injuries that always come to the forefront when evaluating running backs? Look at this running back free agency crop. Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry. You can bring back DeAndre Swift. you can go Austin Eckler. You have the hybrid running back in Saquon, who is physical, but can also catch passes out of the backfield. You have the really good back in Josh Jacobs, who led the NFL in rushing 2 years ago. You have the physical back who will run over you and through you in Derrick Henry. DeAndre Swift, a LaShawn McCoy cutback runner. And then Austin Eckler, smaller, but a dual threat. Of course, all of these players, you worry about how they age. Honestly, the player on this screen who I worry about the least is DeAndre Swift, because hasn't had a lot of workload and he's still somewhat young. Jadeveon Clowney coming in here at number 9, defensive end for the Ravens. Some of you might try to tell me, Chase, he's washed. He's only 30 years old, and actually this year, under Mike McDonald, defensive coordinator for Baltimore, he's had a career year. 9.5 sacks, 19 quarterback hits, 71 pressures, as well as 51 hurries. After a couple of down seasons and injury-plagued seasons, Jadeveon Clowney was back this year. Now, did he play this well to try to secure the bag? That's always a possibility. That's always a thing. But if you want to bring in another defensive end here to get after the quarterback, Clowney could be an affordable piece. Kevin Dotson, if you want to address offensive line, is a guard for the Rams. And here's kind of my thought process here, is that Cam Jurgens, if Jason Kelce retires, is going to move to center. The Eagles drafted Tyler Steen as a guard. You would think that he would play guard. And then your offensive line left to right, Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson, Cam Jurgens, Tyler Steen, Lane Johnson. But if you're not confident in Tyler Steen, you decide to pay some money to Kevin Dotson, who was not good with Pittsburgh, but then was very good in Sean McVay's zone scheme. Overall Pro Football Focus grade this year of 85.2. Pass blocking grade, not great, 68.3. Very good in the run. What do the Eagles like to do well? Run the football. 88.8 right there. And they do have some zone read concepts in running the football. Does Philadelphia if Nick Sirianni comes back. 4 sacks allowed, 20 pressures. Probably the best guard on the market. When the Eagles make a move this offseason, we're going to cover it. That's why you subscribe now for draft and free agency coverage all offseason. And as always, go Birds.